With the European leg of the season complete, the Night Racing Sports Car Championship crosses the pond for 5 races that will ultimately crown the Season 1 champions. Back-to-back wins to kick off the season gave Nathan Jew a massive lead in LMP, but Dennis Rotter has emerged as the frontrunner to chase down the 81. Rotter led from pole to win at Spa and closes the Americans' dominant lead to 34 points as we head to round 4. GTE is anybody's guess with a new winner every race. The Race 1 winner faltered at Le Mans, with the Race 2 winner absent at Spa. And after standing on every step of the podium but the top one, Alexander Schleicher ticked that box with a win in Race 3, which took full advantage of a late race problem for championship contender Connor Seidl. A single point for the 25 and a maximum 38 for Schleicher gives the German a 42-point lead and drops Seidl into the teeth of a 9-car battle for second. This week, car control and traffic management will be tested to the max as the series gears up for 90 minutes around the twists and turns of Interlagos in Brazil. Race 4 of the Night Racing Sports Car Championship starts now. And welcome everybody to Interlagos in Brazil for Race 4 of the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship. We are between the lakes with the city of Sao Paulo peeking over the fence, and we've got a great field of cars here as we start the Western Hemisphere portion of the championship. 5 races remaining, and we'll have news about Mid-Ohio later on in the broadcast. Let's take a look at the championship standings. Nathan Jew with his 34-point lead now over Dennis Rotter in LMP2, and he's been handed a huge present here as Rotter is not on the grid today for this race. Canadian Paul Seeley has dropped down to 3rd and leads what is turning into a very tight battle between Andreas Schwartz, Thomas Brummel, Andre Heinrich looks strong, and Keith Rainey has really had a lot of pace in the last couple of races. Over in GTE, it is anybody's guess what's going to happen. The only clarity we have now is Alexander Schleicher putting his 3rd podium up in the books at Spa. He has taken a sizable lead, 42 points over Connor Seidl, who is now in this 9-car battle, separated by 23 points. Seidl, the Race 1 winner Fowler, the Race 2 winner Dimchenko, Jennifer McDonald, Kevin Hensel, Jens Wolters, who had 2 fantastic races, and then you've got this 3-way tie with Teresiano, who has said he will be here for many of these Western Hemisphere races, Leighton Cater, and Toby Seninger, who had a very strong race in Spa. Mark Sonnen only 3 points behind that, so who knows what's going to happen in GTE as things have really hotted up lately. We're going to be doing 90 minutes here at Interlagos. Traffic management will be a key as the second sector is very tight, but these guys have put in hours of practice, and we're all set for a great run here between the lakes. Let's check out the starting grid. On pole in LMP, it's Andre Heinrich with a time of 1:22.236, just in front of the 281 of Nathan Jew in the 81. The fixed team has landed with Simon Bernier inside row 2 with a 1:22.333 ahead of teammate Jean Bambois, 1:22.987. Row 3 sees the 37 of Nick Mannering inside of the 72 of Night Racing Esports Paul Seeley. Then it's Andreas Schwartz in the 204 with Jaden Manathan-Guerin lining up in the 777. The final row of LMP sees Thomas Brummel and Keith Rainey. Both cars did not set times in qualifying. You want it close? Welcome to GTE with the 99 of Jennifer McDonald on pole with 1:28.954. It's less than 4/10 covering the top 4 with Hayden Fowler outside row 1, Alexander Schleicher, and Kevin Hensel, a 1:21.131. GB Nogaro starts inside of Mark Sonnen in the 111, with Fabrice Nodin in the 12, inside of Toby Seninger. Max Petrovsky lines up inside of Chris Costa, with Connor Seidl and Chris Thompson rounding out the GTE field. As we await the cars on the grid, you can just see them there in the distance, and we will get underway for 90 minutes here at the Interlagos circuit. Here comes the fixed team. It's great to finally have some drivers from France on the grid, 2 LMP and 2 GTE cars. This series, of course, designed for endurance racers. We have a lot of teams joining up. It started with the Switch It guys coming. There you see Nathan Chu's Red Kite car. And, of course, formed by the Night Racing Esports teams. And now the fixed guys are here as well. The series scheduled around ELMS and special events, so it's a great place to come and hone your skills and learn everything you need in endurance racing, keeping your car clean, tire management, doing double and triple stints, and the pace car is rolling as we are going to get underway here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. We'll try to get some Spanish in for you too. Andre Heinrich will lead them to the green in the 32 Gallara P217. Jennifer McDonald, a spectacular pole, but it's very close in GTE. 12 cars taking the green flag here. Hello to everybody out on YouTube watching here today. A tight circuit here, especially the second sector. We should have some very close and exciting racing for you here in the 4th race of the Night Racing League Championship Series. As they head up the hill through Subida dos Boxes towards the green flag. Porsche pace car makes his way into pit road, and now the field under control of Andre Heinrich. And we are green at Interlagos. Into the Senna S's for the first time, and Heinrich is going to hold that position. Ju under a little bit of pressure. And he's going to lose that position to Vernier. Meanwhile, Hayden Fowler has taken the lead in GTE as they go through the Senna S's. Heinrich pushes off wide. Seeley also in the background, and that's going to give Vernier a run. Here comes Nathan Ju back into 3rd place. He's out wide as Heinrich tries to protect that corner. But in his first race in the KRL, Simon Vernier is going to lead as we head through Sector 2 side by side. Meanwhile, back, and we have contact between Mannery and Bambois. Bambois regains the circuit. Not a lot of damage there. Oh, and he's going to miss down at Juncao, and Mannery is around, so a terrible start for the 37 as he tries to regain. Meanwhile, the GTEs are coming through. There's Fowler and McDonald. And we're going to have an LMP having to fight his way back through this GTE battle. Nathan Ju still all over the back of Heinrich as they come down the long back straightaway. No look there. Back with the GTEs. Hayden Fowler, your race 1 winner at Silverstone, has taken the point. It was a very slow start from the GTEs, and he had some better acceleration up the hill. Here comes Nick Mannery in the 37, just now trying to get back through the front end of the GTE field. There's a 15-second gap, of course, to try and keep these classes separated just in case of an incident, but Nick had a couple there in the first lap, and that put him back into the clutches of this battle. First time we've seen that this season, actually. And that is Max Petrovsky off in the number 2 car. That's at the top of the hill. Same corner where the 37 had his issues. Fowler, McDonald, and Schleitzer at the front end of this GTE field. Kevin Hensel, you see, in 4th place. Less than 0.2 of a second separated them in qualifying. We can't wait to watch this one all day. This is the battle back in LMP. That was a quick look at Schwarz, Seeley, and Bambois. I got a feeling we're going to be looking all over the place here in the early going. As Jennifer has a look. Maybe lost a little momentum there. Schleitzer now has a look on the outside as they head into Ferradura. And he's going to take that spot. Alexander Schleitzer, the race winner last time out at Spa, is up to 2nd place and now sets his sights on Hayden Fowler in the 28. Top 5 in GTE all together, covered by less than 2.5 seconds. And Keith Rainey is in the pits. The number 6 night racing esports car is in the pits in LMP. And shades of Silverstone, we are hearing they did not get the race fuel in that car. As there is Mark Sonnen on the inside. There you see Rainey coming out now with a full tank. Connor Seidel, for some reason, not getting qualifying time. And he is starting to work his way through. He needs to have a good points day here today if he wants to solidify that 2nd place. Down on the inside, Seninger getting past Costa. As Keith Rainey now right in the middle of all this. Meanwhile, back up front, here is Simon Vernier now with Nathan Jew all over the back of him. Heinrich has dropped off that just a little bit, but it's about a 1-second gap. And Nathan looking like he's going to have a bit of a toe down the Retta Pasta here. Has a look on the inside and will make that move, the 81 to 1st place. Vernier back to 2nd. It's Heinrich, then Brommel and Schwarz. Very close together. Manathan Guerin ahead of Seeley, who had that off at the Descida do Lago on lap 1. And Schleitzer now all over the back in GTE, and here he is having a look at Fowler. He's got McDonald right behind him. The top 5 with a bit of a breakaway now. All together. That is Jimmy Noguero in the background in 5th place, the first of the fixed drivers in GTE. And he's holding on nicely to the back of Kevin Hensel here. A 5-car breakaway in GTE. And a look by Schleitzer. And as they head down to Zhongkao, side by side, yes, Fowler's going to tuck into 2nd place. So after dropping to, well, he didn't drop to 3rd, he started 3rd. Alexander Schleitzer back up front where he finished at Spa. Fowler again on the back, and he's going to look to the outside as we head down past the start-finish straight. You can see Rainey making his way back up through the GTEs. And McDonald takes advantage of a little wide there by the 28, and she's going to move into 2nd. That puts, you can see the Night Racing Esports colors together. We've got a lot of announcements to make here, and we'll get to that as the day goes by. Kevin Hensel in the 94, joining the Night Racing Esports team. He will race in the 24 Hours of Daytona and is racing the team colors here today for the first time. Welcome, Kevin, to the Esports team. Here comes Rainey, speaking of Night Racing drivers. We look back up front momentarily, Nathan Jr. now with a 2-second lead over Heinrich. And you can see Brommel has dropped back. Well, he's still at that same gap with Schwarz a second behind him. The real battle on the circuit here is the top 5 in GTE. Rainey waits until the long straightaway to start making his moves past. He doesn't want to get in the way of this battle. Oh, Hensel catches a little grass there. McDonald leaves plenty of room. Actually, Rainey backs out. He's already compromised his race, and the last thing he wants to do is get in the way of this. You can see now Hensel another look, but does not make the move heading into Descida do Lago. Fowler retains 3rd place. Vernier down in 6th place, down to 7th place. He's now in the clutches of Sealy Banpois, you see back down there as well. We've apparently got a replay. Here is Heinrich. Oh my goodness, that is the worst netcode I've seen. And what a horrible turn of events for the 88. Vernier and both he and Banpois now back past the 72. But from 1st down to 9th place there temporarily, 8th place I guess. And having to do all that work again, and what a terrible netcode that was. We saw a couple of those in Spa. I mean, this series, we had drivers from all over the world, and if there's any kind of spike in ping, sometimes it doesn't get back to the cars, and that was the biggest gap between cars I think I've ever seen for a netcode incident, and very unfortunate for Simon, but he's up to 5th. He's passed Manathan Guerin again, so 12.5 seconds off the lead. And we'll see how he works his way back through the field here. There's the 777, and Banpois will be coming up behind him as we start to jump all around. Still very, very tight up front. As protecting the inside is Schleitzer, then cuts back out to the groove. A half a second gap. From that angle, it might have looked like a block, but it's not. There was plenty of room between those cars. McDonald now has a tow where it matters as they head down to turn 4. Little wide by Schleitzer, but he maintains the position. Too far out there is a 1X, so you have to watch those. Andre was charged with a 1X there, so we'll watch the track limits. All 5 GTEs continue to race front to back. We're already on lap 10. All kinds of action. We haven't even had a chance to look at the start of the race. As we watch the GTEs head down the main straight here, maybe get a replay of a very exciting start. As Nathan Jew starts to make his way through the back of the GT field. Heinrich behind, less than a second that gap. We'll see how that fluctuates. And we'll see what everyone was talking about all week, making sure everybody was aware what drivers would want getting through traffic, especially the super tight section 2 of this circuit. But as we've seen in every race, the quality of driving here is spectacular, and we'll get a good representation of that here today, as this may be one of the most difficult circuits for overtaking and multi-class racing we have on the calendar. And speaking of the calendar, very large news for next week, next race rather. We head to Mid-Ohio for race 5, and it has been decided that race 5 will be a multi-class race. We had a poll amongst the GT drivers. We also are taking into account field sizes, and the decision was made earlier this weekend, and we can announce it now officially. Race 5 at Mid-Ohio in next week, actually. I am right, it is next week. Will be a multi-class race. And I'm just going to double check everything I'm saying out loud right here. Yes, 19 December. It is next week as the EILMS, of course, iRacing is in week 13 right now. So next week being week 1, there will be no EILMS race. So therefore, we do a back-to-back here at the Night Racing League. We always avoid the EILMS. 3 wide down the straightaway as Schwarz is having a look at Brommel. He tried to use Senager there as a pick. It did not work. Way wide goes Mark Sonnen. And that is going to give Senager and it looks like Connor Seidel a position. As the action starts to present itself all over the circuit as we have our first round of passes as the LMPs come through the GTE leaders now. You can see Heinrich in behind McDonald. He's navigated safely through the first 3. Past McDonald, but you can see that gap. He caught the GTEs through that section 2, and Nathan Jew now has a 4.6 second lead over Heinrich, who now has clear track back up to the American. Here comes Vernier, that unfortunate spin with a netcode incident on lap 6, and bringing along his, I believe if I remember the conversations right, the team leader is Jean Bambois. He was the first one to contact us about entering the championship. Those guys can certainly correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Great to have the French team here and all kitted out in their team colors. The 4th endurance team that has signed up to race here on in the KRL. Great to have them. This battle now very close as they continue to go through this front of the GT field. This is Thomas Brommel and Andreas Schwarz. And news there as well for the 204. Andreas has also joined the Night Racing Esports team and will race the LMP2 at Daytona. He will be on the team with Keith Rainey, Dean Ellico, and Paul Seeley. So, a very competitive mid-split team. All those drivers down around the 2K mark. Very evenly matched when they race here. And Night Racing very, very excited to announce Andreas to the Daytona 24 team. There is Paul Seeley, the team leader there, who is showing off a little bit of a preview of the Daytona livery. And you will notice some subtle differences in that paint scheme from the 6 car. The Schwarz now makes it up to the 108 of Schleitzer. Vernier's going to have himself in this little battle here for 3rd place. He's recovering quite well. You can see the gap to the leader. It was 12.5 after the spin. It's now 17 actually. So he's losing time through traffic here to the lead, but he's making positions. He's going to be in a 3-way battle here with Brommel and Schwarz in the next couple of laps. "20 minutes gone already. Holy smokes, there's been a lot going on. As Vernier and Bambois both make it through. Here comes the 37 of Nick Mannery. He's in 9th place after his early race troubles. Chasing these two, Manathan Guerin and Paul Seeley. Both Night Racing drivers. And it's not, he wants a 5 seconds back. Mannery 5 seconds behind Seeley here. As the 72 seems to have a little pace. But catching is one thing, passing another, as they always say. And as we head up the top of the hill through the twisty bits, they've got the sharp end of the GTE field in front of them. It's all going to be about how he gets out of Juncao. And here's the run, but Manathan Guerin will have the toe there off of Hayden Fowler. And I don't think close enough. Jennifer McDonald still only half a second as she pulls right up on Schleitzer. How will this? She tucks in behind Seeley to maybe try and get a run and a good exit. These LMPs should be past the 108. The Seeley goes down, a little bit of a liftoff. It's 3 wide down the straightaway. The 72 on the inside. And he's going to take that position. Up to 7th place for the Canadian. And here comes Mannery now, right on the tail end of the top three in GTE. You can see Hensel just starting to fade a little bit. It's 1.9 seconds now, the gap to Fowler, who has to pull over, so that will ebb and flow. And a good exit there from Juncao, and Mannery should make a nice clean get by there and doesn't affect that lead gap at all. McDonald still, as you can see, half a second and pulling it in as she's got the toe down the main straight. We check in now with Toby Seninger, who is behind Connor Seidel, having a great run. There's been so much action going on. We haven't caught a lot of them on camera, but Connor has now made his way up to 6th, and of course started in 11th place without a qualifying time. So doing what he needs to do here, of course, Alexander Schleicher, the points leader, is leading the race. So as many positions as he can get, the better. Seidel is 7 seconds now behind Jimmy Noguero in the 117. I was talking to Jimmy earlier this morning just to try and make sure I got his name right. I know it was wrong in the qualifying grid pack. And I'm sure I'm still doing it a little bit wrong with my North American accent, but we'll do our best. Jimmy having a good run, solidly in that top 5, only 6 seconds off the pace. We said a little gap was forming there for 4th, but still only 6.5 seconds covers the top 5 in GTE. Here is that top battle. I wonder if there's a little saving going on here. Certainly, with no traffic now, we're seeing representative laps. It was a 29.9 for Schleicher last time around, 30 dead for McDonald. So basically identical lap times. 30.1 for Fowler. With still over an hour to go, we'll see how much the strategy is going to play in. We know BMWs get great fuel mileage. This should be the 90-minute races are not too complicated for the LMPs, as Mannery has passed Manathan Guerin back there. And now he's going to set his sights on Seeley. That is a 3-second gap from the 72 to the 37. We're still watching this battle at the front for GTE, the closest overall battle on the track. And I got a feeling we're going to be saying that all day. Alexander Schwartz is now in the clutches of Simon Vernier. That is Maximilian Petrovsky in the number 2 Ferrari. He had an off early. We saw McDonald now having a peak on the 108. Backs out of it at the top of the hill. Maybe not trying a pass per se, but you put your cars in the mirror and maybe you get a little mistake from the guy in front. No such luck that time by, as McDonald slots back into the toe of the 108. Fowler right there as well. We have 2 of our 3 race winners here, and as the news continues to drop, we might as well put it out. Our race 2 winner, Dmitry Jinchenko, unfortunately has scheduling issues and contacted us earlier in the week and just said he needed to bow out. So we wish Dmitry all the best, but we're not going to see the Ferrari back on the grid this year. Maybe for season 2, we don't know. But that's why we only have 2 race winners in GTE here today. 3 different race winners in 3 different cars in this class this season, so incredibly competitive at the front end of this field, and you're seeing it here today. Ligero now 7.3 seconds off in 5th, but that is the amount of time that covers the top 5 in GTE, and that includes all of the LMPs going through and tussling up the order a little bit. No issues, as you saw, driving here in this series, and very competitive as McDonald continues to get that car up close. We'll head up the hill to Junção, planted on the throttle, and we'll see if that gap comes down. We're looking at Keith Rainey now, who is about to be lapped in LMP on lap 21, and that's something we don't see very often. Being passed by Nathan Ju, who you remember in the first exhibition race we had at Spa. He forgot to fuel that car, had qualifying fuel in it, and unfortunately today for Keith, he did the same thing. He's been rebuilding his rig all week, and a little too much downtime constructing and not enough uptime practicing is the word from down there. So Keith having a test day, let's say, with his new rig. As here is Nick Mannery now right on the gearbox of Paul Seeley in the 72 as we head down the main straight. This is the battle for 7th. You can see the lap times there. A 23.0, a second a lap as Seeley sticks it in there. Nick backs out. So Seeley will hold on to that position. He had the inside for the entry to the back straightaway, and Mannery just decided he'll back out and set up a different pass. Quick look at Jennifer McDonald there. 8 tenths behind. That's the biggest gap we've seen between the top 2 in GTE in a while. As we check in with our race leader in LMP. The first 30 minutes have flown right by. We are under the 1 hour mark, and generally the time as we cross the first 30 minutes when we'll start to see LMPs in the pits. You're saying it should be a fairly easy strategy for the LMPs. It's a 2-stopper any way you slice it for a 90-minute race. And if you want to go full fuel for the first 2 stints, it's a very short splash and go at the end. I don't believe tires are going to be an issue. We'll see if anybody takes any. As we have a look here at Simon Vernier very quickly there, he has caught the back of Andreas Schwartz, so that will be a battle for 4th, hotting up here in LMP very shortly. The top 3 now a clean breakaway in GTE. 1.5 seconds separate the top 3. 2 of them race winners, the other the pole sitter here today. As Vernier now solidly in the toe of the 204. Schwarz is in the pits, so we're not going to have a battle there. Andreas, the first of the LMPs to come in for pit stops. Just a touch early, I think, after lap 23. We'll see what the pit times are. A new fuel flow rate on the LMPs for this race. That came out with the Season 1 update. You can see Andreas stopped for 8.3 seconds. They have really increased the fuel flow for the cars. So with no tires, much quicker pit stops. They were... I'd have to look back, but it seems to me I recall the pit stops were in the 20 second range, 23 seconds, somewhere in that range. Somebody can correct me if they like, but they have significantly increased the fuel flow, and we'll see much quicker pit stops for LMP. We check back in with that battle for 6th place now, as Schwarz has dropped down temporarily through the field. Seeley and Mannery. A little bit of a gap after that attempt earlier. Seeley able to hold on to that position. As Rainey now making his way through that top 3. And you see just behind him, that's the 32 of Schwarz. He is now 6.7 behind the race leader. And he'll be the next to put Keith a lap down. There's Thomas Brommel in 3rd with Vernier right behind him. So a couple of close battles here in LMP. Vernier also getting that free position when Schwarz hit pit road. We will see where they cycle through, as Heinrich has to go 3 wide past the GTE leader to put the 6 car a lap down. Fastest on the circuit, you see up at the top right, a 22.3 for the race leader, Nathan Jews. He's putting his stamp on this race now. The point leader handed a huge gift. This is Season 1, and the goal of Season 1, of course, is it's forming a grid. It's getting the word out, getting people to join, getting new drivers every race here. As you can see with the fixed team joining us here this weekend and for the rest of the season. And unfortunately, people joining in, they've had prior commitments. And the Switch It guys were already going to run in this charity race that's happening today. It's a 24-hour race, I believe. And so we have some Switch It drivers here. There's Thomas Brommel right there. But of course, Lars Watzik and Riebensteiner is not here. And Dennis Rotter, of course, not here. So hopefully that, once everybody's in the league, it's all solid and running. We'll have a more stable driver entry and larger fields, of course. But that'll certainly start to happen closer to the end of the season and for Season 2. Which also has been announced. We can do that here. I told you there's lots of things to announce here today. As Jennifer McDonald having a look at the 108. Chris Thompson sees that in his mirrors. And McDonald is through. Sorry, we cut away. I tried to get back as quick as we could. McDonald does finally make that move on Schleitzer. Hayden Fowler remains 3rd. So at the end of the long back straightaway, the 99 finally goes to the point. And just in behind that is the third place battle between Brommel and Vernier. So we'll see the two closest battles on the racetrack overlap just for a brief moment here as they come through. You can see Vernier's dropped back. He's going to take the outside line. And is not going to get by the BMW before the Senna S's. Look how that's tightened up Fowler to the back of Schleicher here in the Porsche. So a big gap now as Vernier will have to try and regain that 1.5 seconds now. He sits in behind the 4 car. Very interesting there, though. He got a little bit separated there through the Senna S's, but Schwarz is right back on it. Hasn't seemed to have opened up a real gap. A little wide there by the 99, and the 108 is back on it. He'll have the toe all the way up. You see him having to actually duck out there. And he'll have a look going into the S's. Side by side, Jennifer. The inside, a little touch there. Right rear to left rear. The Porsche goes through. Fowler all over this. And just for you-know-whats and giggles, the 681 comes through of Bambois. He gets through safely. And Schleicher back up front in GTE. Paul Seeley in the pits in LMP. The second car to hit pit road. That will release Mannery. But we expect the rest of the LMPs in the next couple of laps. We had an awful lot of LMP. Nathan Jew in the pits now at the end of lap 29. Heinrich stays out, and that will temporarily give the 32 the lead. So saying we had a lot of LMP time last race at Spa, but today the battle is in GTE, so we're seeing a lot of them today. It's great. Brommel also stays out as Nathan Jew is coming out of the pits, and he's going to be right in this battle for third, well, for second at the moment, between Brommel and Vernier. He will actually put his car in between them. The 4 and the 88 having to pit. Nick Mannery hits the pit next, as does Manavan Garin. And Alexander Schwarz will pop through. And of course, we want to see where he comes out in relation to Vernier. That's as Simon was just ready to set up a pass on the 204 when it ducked to the pits early. That was 10 minutes ago. So maybe putting this race into thirds. We saw Nathan Jew try that at Spa, and it didn't really work out all that well. Maybe with the faster fuel fills, it's less of a penalty, so we'll see. It certainly means less weight on the car and may help your tire wear, so we'll see how that works out as Heinrich hits the pits in the 32. Nathan Jew will go by, and he's taking tires. So Nathan Jew will go through. Vernier in the pits. We'll watch that as Brommel and Bambois also in. And where will Nathan Schwartz come out? He's just now coming up the hill. Past pit entrance. And here comes Vernier. Looks like a definite advantage there. Vernier's pit stop 11.2 seconds. Schwarz 8.3, so definitely less fuel for the 204. And with a tire stop on the 32, the pole sitter has dropped to 4th place. Brommel and Vernier both leapfrogging Andre Heinrich in the pits. And that's a very close battle. You can see 1 second. There's Vernier, and just in the background, behind Fowler, that would be Hensel, is the 32 car. So the pole sitter with fresh tires and second place just, well, 5 seconds in front. It's a 1 and 2 second gap up to 3rd place. So once he gets those warmed up, we'll see if he can get himself back into 2nd. A little surprised about tires there, to be fair. I didn't think tire wear was going to be an issue. I certainly expect the 32 to go all the way to the end. As we see Chris Costa in the Corvette coming out of the pits. And Fabrice Naudin has made a pit stop as well in the 12. That is the 4th fixed car, who haven't really seen as Fowler. Very good run up the hill, but does not have the track placement to get around the 99. So the LMP pit stops are now complete. We're watching Nathan Jew in the lead. It's a 25-second lead over the 4 car now of Thomas Brommel, having a great run. And he's got 3.3 seconds on the 88 of Simon Vernier, recovering spectacularly from a netcode incident on lap 6. Dropped all the way to 8th place, but has regained 3rd ahead of Andre Heinrich now, who is not making any gap there. It's empty track now, so we'll see how these guys start to close up. Heinrich on fresh tires after taking rubber on his first stop, running 4th. Then it's the 681 of Jean Bambois in his first race for KRL, and you see just ahead of this raging battle in GTE, there is your 6th place car, the 204 of Andreas Schwarz, who despite a shorter pit stop has lost out to both of the fixed cars. Behind Schwarz now is the, I hesitate to break away from this, behind Schwarz is the 37 of Nick Mannery. There you see him in the 2nd of the Red Kite cars. And he now leads the 72 of Paul Seeley by about 6 seconds. He's just ahead of the 777 you see there of Jaden Manathan-Guerin, and then we've already explained to you the trials and tribulations of Keith Rainey as the GTEs now hit pit road. All three of them, all five of them, McDonald, Fowler, Schleitzer, Hensel, and Nogueiro in the pits. Here comes Seninger, Connor Seidel, the only car to stay out. He will temporarily take over the lead as he's gotten great fuel mileage all season long. The Corvette of Mark Sonnen also goes by. But it is Jennifer McDonald who will come out of the pits first. 21.1 seconds stopped for the 99. 26.5 for Schleitzer. 26.1 for Fowler and Hensel. So a great pit stop for McDonald. Her pit road time was 6 seconds faster than Schleitzer and Fowler. So what a fantastic, as we see what will end up being both race leaders on the screen at the same time. Nathan Jew getting by the fellow American. A fantastic pit stop. And just looking at the gaps, 23 seconds, she should easily have the lead when Seidel, who is now in the pits himself in the 25 car. Petrovsky pits at the back of the field. Costa, who's made 2 pit stops. We hear a drive-through for him. Was one of those. And McDonald will pass the stationary BMW of Seidel. We'll see where he pops out. This is now the battle for second place between Schleitzer, Fowler, and Hensel. Is right on the tail as well. Here comes Fowler. He'll look to the outside. That wasn't the right thing to do. And here comes Kevin. A little tentative against his new teammate. Fowler wiggles. They're going to go side by side up the hill. But the inside line for the 28. And Hensel will back out of that. Not the most fun corner on the circuit to go side by side through. Schleitzer loving that as it gave him a second gap and a little bit of a breather. After seeing that Chevy logo looking like it was painted on his mirror. So the first round of pit stops now complete for both classes, and based on the time, it really looks like a one-stop race for the GTEs. We know the LMPs will have to come down again for a splash and go, although it looks like Schwartz may be splitting this into threes. So we may see him in about 20 minutes. And let's run down the GTE field now that we have cycled through. Out front now is your pole sitter of Jennifer McDonald. And she's got herself a comfortable lead here. It's a 5-second gap, and of course, as we mentioned, it's all from the pit stop. They all pitted together, but she was on pit road for 6 seconds less than the cars chasing her, and that is what you see on track. The 108 of the Spa race winner, Alexander Schleitzer, runs in second place with this fantastic battle that is now restarted between the night racing teammates. Hayden Fowler in 28 car is third, and Kevin Hensel in the 94 running in fourth place. Behind them, we have the Porsche of Jimmy Nogueiro, the French driver in his first night racing league race. Looking fantastic, still within 10 seconds of the leader. Sixth place now, the 25 of Connor Seidel, who went a lap further in his first stint. No one in GTE has taken tires with the exception of Chris Thompson in the 66. Behind Seidel is the 91 of Toby Seninger, who has a 10-second gap over the 12 car of Fabrice Naudin. He is the 4th fixed driver in the field. In 9th place is Mark Sonnen in the 111. And we put out our public apologies to Mark as we were having issues with his number, and brought it up again in the drivers' meeting. It turns out I believe it was a league issue with the way the lobby was set up. So Mark with his proper number on this race. And he leads the 76 of Chris Costa by almost 30 seconds, a little over 30 seconds. Behind him is the 2 car of Max Petrovsky. And rounding out the GTE field, the 66 of Chris Thompson. And I believe we have a replay of Petrovsky and an issue. This happened a little while ago, as that is Andre Heinrich, who just clipped the back end of the 2 car. The stewards have a look at that. There is Heinrich now, and you can see what that's done. It has put him right in the clutches of Simon Vernier. As Brommel now comes by Petrovsky. I want to get back to that battle further back. Here it is. As the 2 are together again. And did I preempt you guys with a replay? I believe I did. We're going to see it live. There it is. I got my lap numbers mixed up, and there is the contact. Vernier will take the 3rd place, as Heinrich is going to have to regain the circuit. By come more cars. Bandois is passed. Here comes Schwarz. He will make the pass, and Heinrich is going to drop to 6th place. So apologies on a mix-up on the timing there. The 2 car just now recovering. He's not going to lose a position here, however. It's And so now the 32 car finds himself back in 6th, and with Andreas Schwarz in front of him. So from one battle to the next, Schwarz gets by the 117. Nogueira out of the way nicely to allow the 2 by. We'll be able to see here in the next probably 5 minutes if this 204 is splitting the race into 3s. Heinrich, the last time he has recovered, and he's going to make that move. So Heinrich back to 5th place. Schwarz not putting too much resistance up there. Heinrich has found himself out of position here with that spin. But you can see a 23.6 last time around. It was a 24.2 for Andreas. As they are coming by the second place car in GTE. The race leader passes the start-finish line, and just looking on my track map, a 31-second lead now for Nathan Jew. He has really put his mark on this race. Got a good battle here for second shaping up, and we're going to pop to that. As here's Brommel, and there you see Vernier has got himself into the tail edge of the toe there on the main straight, and we'll see how that gap comes down. It's about 1.3 seconds at the moment. And we could have a ding-dong here for the second place. What a recovery for the 88. Can't say enough about the drive. We certainly look forward to seeing him at the remaining races. Can you imagine the front end of this field when we get the switch-it drivers who are away today? You've got Brommel here, but his three teammates that are racing in a charity race right now, stick them here at the front with Vernier and Heinrich and Nathan Jew, and oh boy, what a race. And we could see all that at Mid-Ohio next week. Only, there's no 1 week break here, as it'll be week 1. And because we schedule around the EILMS, we have back-to-back races here. We'll be at Mid-Ohio next weekend, and it will be a multi-class race. The LMPs will be on track. The GTE class voted. There were two factors really that went into the decision. First of all, we wanted to have a vote to see if there was a majority of GTE drivers who wanted to have a multi-class race. That happened. We did have a majority. But there was also a consideration where the league wanted to have a minimum of 20 cars on track. And while we do have more than 20 members in the GTE class, we've yet to have a race with 20 cars on track. And as you can see, there are 12 cars here today for this race. Extenuating circumstances, admittedly, but that stuff happens. But when you put together the vote and that condition, it really wasn't much of a decision to be made. We will have a two-class race at Mid-Ohio at one of the greatest sports car tracks in the U.S. And that will be next week, so stay tuned. You can be in that race if you're a mid-split driver between 1,300 and 3,000 I rating with an A or a B license. And we'll check your race record out, and if you qualify, we'd love to have you on the grid. There is only one LMP grid slot open, so if you want to race in the top class, in the LMP class, you have one grid slot that you could get in on. There are 10 GTE grid slots, as we look to have a 50-car registration in this series. As side-by-side, Vernier looking to make the move on Brommel, who protects the inside, but that gives Vernier the right-hander, and he will take second place. And we'll never know what would have happened if he was right up there with Nathan without that netcode incident. But with the dominant laps of the 81 car here today, this may have been where he could have finished. Anyway, he has completely recovered from that incident, and a spectacular drive for the Frenchman in the 88 car. We'll see if Thomas can hold on once he's got the toe. There is your race leader, Nathan Jew, who's just now coming up to one of the Corvettes who have split apart, have they? Hayden Fowler is in 6th place. So we have missed something there. Oh, this is the replay of the 32 and the 2. And Hayden Fowler, while we were watching the LMP battle, has gone off in Sector 2, and he's clipped that barrier with the front end. So that explains that. And that close battle between the night racing cars has now split up, and that's also given Jimmy Nogueira and Connor Seidel positions. So Hayden Fowler, who was on that top 3 fight the entire race, now finds himself in 6th position. As we now look at Kevin Hensel, promoted to a podium place here in race 4. Jean Bambois in the 681 has got the 32 of Andre Heinrich right on him. This is a battle for 4th place in LMP. Is our race leader now, 33 seconds. Ahead of Simon Vernier as he makes his way carefully through the field. It's all about keeping it clean now. And on my screen, 0 incident points for the 81. Just a spectacular run. And that's what you need to do as they come by the 66. Chris Thompson there. And Heinrich has made the move. We just caught the tail end of it there, the 32. Ahead of Bambois. As he gets a little bit of a wiggle there. We'll see if Jean can make a move back. This is one of the closest battles on the circuit. We've got one for 4th and GTE that we might cut to here. Nogueira and Seidel are close together on circuit. There they are. And that is Kevin Hensel right in front. So we've got a 3-way battle now for 3rd place in GTE. Up front, it's still Jennifer McDonald, who has stretched that lead to 7.8 seconds. So now she not only got the gap in the pits, but she has stretched it on track. She turned a 1:30.7 last time around, a 31.0 for Schleitzer in the Porsche. This is the battle for 3rd. Kevin Hensel, Jimmy Nogueira, and Connor Seidel. Hayden Fowler now 8 seconds behind this threesome. Heinrich past Bambois, as we saw, is now the fastest car on the circuit. Turned a 23.8 there. Not a great lap, so traffic must have been involved for Nathan Jew there. He's in the 24s, which is not his usual postal code. Connor Seidel having a look here on Nogueira. He'll take the outside down the main straight. He's got the nose ahead. Nogueira backs out, actually. So that is 4th now for the 25 car. And only 2 positions behind Schleitzer, who he is chasing in the championship. It could be a great day in the points here for McDonald if she can hold on for the remaining 23 minutes. And depending on what Connor can do with this battle, they will be very, very close in the points. Schwartz has hit the pits with 23 minutes to go. We figured he would stop early. He had a shorter stop and stopped before all the other LMP cars. So true to form there, he is in. He pits from 6th place. It's a 7.6 second pit stop as we have Keith Rainey has caught the back of Jaden Manathan Guerin, who has had a drive-through penalty. So we're going to have a battle there for 9th in LMP. This is the battle on circuit here as Noguero has dropped off a little bit, but Connor Seidel right on the rear bumper of the 94 Corvette of Kevin Hensel. Continues to turn fast laps. Nathan managing the race as he's still in the 24s up there. Just checking where he is on circuit. He did come through the GTE leaders a lap and a half ago, just in the last lap, so maybe that was slowing him down. He's going to be... Paul Seeley has hit the pits in LMP, so a short second stint for the 72. Looks like he's run that strategy before where he starts on full fuel and then averages the race down after. So he did have a quick pit stop for his first stop, and it's 6 seconds here, which will be longer than everyone else's if they took 2 full fuels. So Seeley's going to drop to 8th place. Momentarily, he's got a very, very large gap ahead of Manathan Guerin, but we'll see if here he is coming out of the pits ahead of Schleicher. As Kevin Hensel now pulling away a little bit. He's had a very good lap. 4/10 quicker than Seidel on lap 45. He just gives himself a little bit of breathing room here. As we have 20 minutes remaining here in round 4 of the Night Racing Sports Car Championship. Kevin Rainey still behind the 777 of Jaden Manathan Guerin. The closest battle in LMP. As he goes wide, so does Sonnen behind. But it doesn't pull Keith any closer. I think he was backed out there, not trying to get involved with the 111. Back up to this battle for the final podium spot, and you can see the lap times evening out a little bit there. Seidel actually quicker and now visibly closer as he comes through the Senna S's. That's Vernier behind them. He should get by easily on the straightaway. The second place LMP car gets through, and we'll get back to our battle for third in GTE. Little on the wide side for Hensel, and that's going to give a run for Seidel. The Canadian takes a peek, but doesn't have position to do it. Meanwhile, back in 9th place, Manathan Guerin having to defend into the S's, but Rainey has a run on him. Good stuff as he comes back, but it's the inside lane for Rainey. They will go side by side through there, and you can see it doesn't work very well. Keith Rainey will make the move stick, and he's up to 9th. Back in 3rd place, Kevin Hensel. They'll have to deal with Brommel, I believe that is. The 4 car gets through clean on the outside, and we'll see if Connor could get himself a podium position. Not as close as he'd like to be, I don't think, coming out of the S's. It's a 7-second lead still for Jennifer McDonald. We don't expect the GTEs to pit again based on when they stopped the first time. We know the LMPs will have to. Schwarz, Seeley, and Rainey have all made their second stops. I believe, I don't have confirmation on this, as Hensel goes wide. Heinrich coming through on the outside. Keith Rainey started on qualifying fuel, but I think he may have done enough laps that if he did 2 full fuel stops, he can make it to the end of the race. So we'll watch that. He has made 2 stops. So maybe it's not, I mean, other than the fact that he's down in 9th, it may not be a disadvantage so much as he's just flipped stops 1 and 2, basically. By the 28 of Fowler, who is caught back up to Toby Seninger, so maybe trying to recover a little bit of a lockup there. But after that mistake in the second sector, Fowler trying to recover back a little bit. They run through the flash there as they come through the lap car of Chris Thomas. It's the battle for 6th. Everybody adhering to the flashing rules. If you watched our last broadcast, there are new rules in place where it is illegal to flash a car you are racing for position. I think that was pretty common sense, but also excessive flashing is also not allowed. If you need to make a pass, as you saw Seninger there flashing to 66, we're coming through on the next corner. We have the closing speed, we have the line, and it's just a heads up, and that's how to do it. So very well done. We haven't seen any of the things we saw at Spa, as we have Fowler here coming out on the outside. Seninger will cover the inside. He's actually got the gap, so he can pull it back out for the braking zone. Van Block coming past Costa. And a quick look back up again at the other closest battle on the... Oh, we've got Chris Thompson around, and that was the race leader, Nathan Jew. We'll have a look here. Up on the curb. Oh, and I think he thought that gap was there. Chris maybe none the worse for wear out of the way, but the race leader with a moment there. With 14 minutes to go in the race. And we'll see how that affects his lap times. Nathan was actually the quickest car on track that last lap around with a 23.8. And we don't see that very often. In fact, maybe the first time we've seen that all year, as a battle for third goes by those skid marks. Here is Nathan coming around. This probably won't be a very good lap time, but we'll see what the next one is. If there's any damage on that car. He has a 31-second lead, so nothing too bad. He can nurse that home for 13 minutes. Senninger now having to deal with Andreas Schwartz coming through. The latest car he lapped has gone all the way around to 7th place. What a race for the 81. And those cars coming through has given Senninger a little bit of a breather, but Fowler is right there. As the battle for the final podium position continues, you can see how close both of them are as we switch back and forth. We hope you enjoyed race 4 of the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship. A little wide goes Senninger. Fowler now right on him. We'll be back in action next week from Mid-Ohio. As we announced, a multi-class race, LMPs will be there. So come and join us on the grid as Senninger has hit the pits. And I'm just checking my notes. That off was his 8th incident point. So a drive-through penalty for the 91. He has cleared pit road, but that is going to give Fowler 6th place. Fowler has already served the penalty himself. And Max Petrovsky, it looks like, has retired. Nope, he's lost the position to Chris Thompson. Yes, that car is retired. We've heard the number 2 car. There's Jimmy Nogaro. He is under no threat from Hayden Fowler. That's a 23-second gap. And Seidel, let's get back to that. Seidel is side by side with Hensel as they come through the Senna S's, but hasn't made the move. He's got the toe, has a little peek. Little bit of a slide there by Hensel. He's right on him. Is he going to make a move up the hill? We've seen him back out of here before. Nathan Guerin coming through. That couldn't have been timed worse. And he's just sitting back there. He's finally going to come out. That's not a battle for position as Mannery is coming through. Jaden is a lap behind the 37. So he's going to shoot the gap. And that will give us the GTEs back together again. What a great race we've had here in GTE. McDonald's lead now 8.5 seconds ahead of Schleitzer. He is 5.5 seconds ahead of our little battle we're watching here between Hensel and Seidel. That's an important position for Connor. He's especially with McDonald leading this race, every point's going to count as the 99 looking poised to take second place. As we said, 9 cars within 23 points in the GTEs coming into this race. So we've got a bunch of switch-it cars all together today. That was Bromwell and Heinrich, and that is a battle for position. They're going to split Senninger, and Heinrich back to third. Uses all the exit there on the Descida do Lago. Great stuff, and the pole sitter has regained a podium place. Remember, he's on fresher tires than everybody else in LMP as well. He took rubber on his first stop. As we finally get back to this battle for third in GTE, Kevin Hensel, 7 more minutes to survive the onslaught of the 25 BMW. It's been a quiet day for the 72. That is Simon Vernier in his first race, second place in the LMPs, and recovering from a spin early on. A spin, no fault of his own, I should add, if you're joining us late. It was a netcode incident. This is going to go right down to the wire. So it looks like we'll have about 5... No, I shouldn't have that many laps to go when they come by. Just about 6 minutes. Nathan is just coming down to Junção. We'll try and see how many laps. Nick Mannery is in the pits in 6th place. And that is going to give Schwarz sixth in the LMP class. I'm just checking down. That's his final splash and go. Okay, that makes sense. We know the LMPs are all going to have to stop. Here comes Simon Vernier as well. So these guys all did full tanks. Heinrich is in, Brommel is in. Here comes Banbois, who has not stopped yet. He will pass Heinrich and Brommel while they exit the pit road. Here's Brommel now. Heinrich up ahead. And so the only LMP driver who has not stopped yet, oh, is around goes the... That was Senninger. Just a touch. Oh, and he gets clipped by Heinrich as well. But just a little deep on the brakes for Nodin there, and it put the 91 around. Back at that third place battle, we've got LMPs coming through. Mannery, Seidel right in behind. There's your race leader as well now. As Bambois has made it to the pits, you see on the top right leaderboard, Heinrich and Brommel will go back through. Schwarz, I don't believe, is going to be able to close that gap. Bambois is out, 4-second pit stop, and he will retain 5th place. Oh, it's caught in behind! And that will give Seidel the position. He used traffic with the leader coming through, and Connor Seidel will claim third place. Meanwhile, Brommel has retaken Heinrich. We just saw a bit of that. Must have been an issue for Heinrich. He's 4 seconds behind Brommel here. I thought I saw a change in position up there. As we have 2 minutes to go here. And here is Nathan Jew in the 81, looking to claim his third victory of the season. He's really had the day all to himself once he pulled that gap. And since that first pit stop, a spectacular day for Jennifer McDonald. She leads in the GTE class, 7.5 seconds. She's managed this race fantastically. Sat behind Schleitzer for most of the first stint, made her move, and then with an exceptional pit stop, gained 6 seconds on track on pit road, and has never looked back. As we'll have both race leaders on camera here very shortly. As it looks like Nathan Jew will start his final lap when he comes around, which means if he passes Jennifer, she'll have to do 1 lap. If not, she'll have to do 2. She's the last car on circuit. Here comes Nathan now. Looks like he will get by Mannery, having a lot of fun at Juncal, where he's done before. There goes Nathan. So it will be 1 lap for both classes as he crosses the line. And he puts his teammate a lap down. He's lapped everyone up to 6th place in LMP. The fast lap of the race goes to Andre Heinrich in the 32 car, a 1:22.358. 1/1000th quicker than Nathan Jew's fast lap of 1:22.359. So a few issues and a tire change for the 32 car. But what could have been with a different pit strategy there? Andre has also had another issue somewhere and has dropped to 4th. As Bambois is back in the pits. So not sure what that's about. And he had to take fuel. So I wonder if he had a drive-through, but we'll figure that out later. As the 81 of Nathan Jew wins at Interlagos and is followed close behind by the GTE winner, our 4th winner in 4 different cars, Jennifer McDonald, claims round 4 in GTE. Simon Vernier, a spectacular recovery drive to 2nd place. Welcome to the KRL and a 2nd step on the podium for Simon Vernier. Thomas Brommel will finish 3rd and complete the podium with 3 different teams Alexander Schleitzer, Connor Seidel claims that third place after a fantastic battle with Kevin Hensel, who will finish fourth. Jimmy DeGarro, Hayden Fowler, Fabrice Nodin, Mark Sonnen, Toby Seninger, Chris Costa, and Chris Thompson round out the GTE field. Max Petrosky failed to finish. The LMP class, won by Nathan Jew, Simon Vernier, and Thomas Brommel is your podium. With Andre Heinrich, Jean Bambois holds on to fifth place. With Andre Schwartz, Nick Mannery, Paul Seeley, Keith Rainey, and Jaden Manathan Garin rounding out the LMP field. As everyone heads back to the pits, the next race, as we said, is at Mid-Ohio, and we'll see you only 1 week away. Broadcast will be here Sunday at noon, Eastern Time, 1700 UTC. Join us next week at Mid-Ohio for race number 5. And the drivers are out of the cars, and we're going to hear from our race winner in GTE. We're joined here by the 99 BMW driver Jennifer McDonald. Your first win in the series started from pole. Tell us how your day went.
Yeah, it was a great race. Traffic was really good. Just really pumped to have that first win. It was a fun day. We had a great scrap with Hayden and Alex and I, really the whole first stint. I was really surprised to see the gap when I pulled out of the pits. And then from there, it was a little bit of smooth sailing, a little bit of traffic, but just really a great race all around.
And tell us, did the BMW's legendary fuel mileage come into play with the strategy?
Well, it certainly helped that I was able to park behind Alex for a bit there. So I was able to save a bit of fuel. Traffic management, I think, helped me a little bit there too. So a little coasting here and there. Wanted to conserve so I could have a shorter fill, and turned out it worked out.
Well, that's great. So it wasn't just the car that people talk about. There was a lot of driver input as well for that.
Yeah, I would say so. I know there's been some rumors about legendary fuel mileage, but I got to say there's a little bit of strategy there as well.
Awesome stuff. Well, congratulations on your first win, and we'll see you at the next race at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, thanks again, and great race to everybody today. It was really fun.
Great job. Jennifer McDonald, everybody, 99 BMW. Our fourth different winner in 4 races in 4 different cars in GTE. So what a fantastic result. And we'll see everybody in 1 week's time at Mid-Ohio. Thanks for watching in the Night Racing League. We'll see you next week.